Hey guys, so today is 11/11, on the 11th of November. Most of you, or many of you, know I have a very strong connection with this number, and for those of you who don't know, this number kept showing up in my life. Now, at first, as most skeptics, as I was at the time to some degree, would look at is there's some sort of problem mentally going on, and that's what I thought. I thought, oh, I've got a mental health problem all of a sudden. But as I started to look around, I'm not a man who can avoid logic, reason, or mathematics. I can't avoid probability. I can't do that, and it's because it's illogical to do so. So as I looked around and I found that there were hundreds of thousands of people all over the planet in all different corners of the world, not connected in any way, who were seeing this, I had to start asking whether it was something more. And I've gone over the full story of this number in my life in my 11/11 video. And in this one, today, I wanted to talk about how back then I believed 11/11 was a sign from God. And it was an email I received about coming to Tanzania during a water fast at 11:11 a.m. on the 11th day of a water fast, which began on the 11th of November, 5 years ago today. And that email, after I'd sent an application about coming to help out, asked me to come to Tanzania. Now, back then I had a belief that this was a sign from God. And this is different to now, because now I don't believe it was a sign from God. I know it was a sign from God. Now, many people who are skeptical will want to switch off and go, nonsense. But if you take science and you put a microscope on my hand and a microscope on the chair I'm sitting on, eventually you'll come to the same material, atoms. And atoms move based on vibration, which involves geometry and numbers, mathematics. Numbers are literally a fabric of the reality around you. For all you can't go out into the world and find a number external of the human world. You can't go out into the world and find a number 5 unless someone within the human world has written it down. You can't go out into nature and find it. You can find 5 of something, but you can't find that number. It's a concept from within us, but at the same time we know from science that when we are creating robotics, for example, that there needs to be a mathematical process to judge distance. So even me moving my arm, my hand, my brain is computing, and it's computing in mathematics because it's basing itself on depth perception. Numbers are a part of the workings of us, and they're a part of our reality. Now, back then, as I say, I believed that this was a sign from God, but now I can say without any shadow of a doubt, I know it was. If you're seeing 11/11, or even if you're not, don't be afraid of it, because nothing but good has came out of it since I followed it. And if there are people out there who say, I've read this, I've heard this, listen to what I'm saying, a person who has experienced it and followed it in love. And look at the wake behind me. Now, I'm not taking credit for what I've done. As I say, I pretty much managed to mess up my life prior to answering God's call and create nothing but pain for myself and others. But when I did answer it, I like to feel, and I say this as humbly as I can, that I've created the opposite of what I used to create. I've created a place of love here in Tanzania. I know that this place has saved children's lives. I know our children's fund has saved children's lives. I know how a medical fund has saved many people's lives. I know we've saved many of the dogs' lives, that's for certain. We've made people comfortable whose lives we could not save, but at least they had comfort when they were leaving this planet. And none of it would have happened if I'd gotten scared of that number, and none of it would have happened if it weren't for God using that number as a sign to turn my head and to turn my heart and to evolve my spirit and my consciousness. To click his fingers and say this way. And all I can ever say is, if it's happening to you, whatever your sign is, even if it's not 1111, in absolute faith, follow it. Get out of your comfort zone and watch what God can do through you. Because if he can do this through me, he can do it through you. And if he can do it through many of us, because many more are needed to follow it, then for sure, like dominoes, we can change this planet. We just need to be prepared to understand that we perhaps don't know best, and this thing we call God or fate or destiny might just know the best way to send you. But the only way it's ever going to be able to subtly direct you to where you need to go is when you stop thinking and when you stop putting yourself, your ego, as at a level of importance. When you think your opinions matter, when you think you know something, God can't get through to you. When you know your opinions mean nothing, when you know the only thing that matters is the good you can do on the planet, and when you know that the only thing you know is nothing because you learn something new every day, that's when God can get through to you and show you the truth and show you your destiny, as it were. And if I'm not living my destiny here, with everything that's gone on in the last few years, then I don't know what destiny is. It's not always an easy ride, and it can be tricky. God doesn't choose qualified people always. Sometimes he qualifies those that he chooses. And I've gone from the lonely nights, struggling to make money, we still struggle to make money, I've got to add, but struggling a lot more than we are now because we didn't have any presence on social media. At least now when we have an emergency and we share it, people respond. It didn't always used to be that way. And instead of lonely nights, I get to go to bed with my beautiful fiancée. And I used to pray hard and say to God, how am I ever going to meet somebody? And look what God did. He brought someone, and we've both fallen deeply, madly in love with each other. To Uchira. I met Fritzy here, right next to Feather's Tail. It won't always be easy, and sometimes it'll be hard work. But you've got to walk in faith, and you've got to follow the signs that are given to you. And what begins as you believing this is from God will turn into you knowing this is from God. And when you know when God is speaking to you, you become a powerful force to do God's work. Because when you hear God say, go this way, go that way, you don't hesitate, you don't question it, you go. And then some sort of miracle happens before you. But you only get there by taking that first step. And 5 years ago today, when I started fasting, was me taking my first step. And you don't have to see the whole staircase, guys. Just take the first step. Because 5 years ago today, if you told me that I would be where I am now, I'd have laughed in your face. I'd have said, me, the guardian of nearly 50 children? I don't think so. Me having built a off-the-grid village to house disabled children? No, I don't think so. This is exactly what I would have said 5 years ago today. So, I have a very favourite saying of mine, and Roald Dahl said it, and it goes along the lines of, look to the world with twinkling eyes, for the greatest secrets are in the most unlikely of places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. And I think that kind of sums up how I feel about 11/11. So, happy 11/11, guys. Much love.
As for me and my house, we'll serve you, Lord, lifting hope